Sorry. I don't know what I just did there. I'm gonna try and find the Olympics. How are you guys? Hello, 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 hello. Just got done my live shot. They had me in Port St. Lucie today, so I stopped home to get some food, and then I got to go back into work shortly here and do the 10 and the 11. But right now I'm just gonna kind of relax, digest my food. I just had Lori made me salmon and rice and broccoli, and it was so good. While we wait for everybody to get on, let's give it a few minutes like I always do. It's 7:28. Let's wait till like 7:33, 7:34. Let everybody get in. And before we talk about why we're waiting for everybody, did you guys catch? I don't know if you guys have been watching the Olympics on NBC, but I'll tell you what. Wow, the hockey games have been incredible. First of all, Canada almost loses. I don't know if you saw the game today. And then the United States gets pushed to overtime too. And it's almost like everybody has Canada and the United States in the final, right? They're all saying, look, that's the rematch we want to see. I want to see, Canada in there because they're loaded with NHL players, and the United States in there because they're loaded with NHL players. And these two battle it out almost all the time. They battle it out in the Worlds, and everybody's already got these two in there. Well, it's almost like these other teams are saying, oh yeah, not so fast. Sweden, I'll tell you what, Sweden was tough. I'm just glad we survived, because that team, they had a lot of NHL star power on there, and that goalie, I mean, I know he gave up the final goal on 3-on-3 in overtime, but that goalie was incredible. And I think he's the goalie for the Minnesota Wild. Man, he was on fire. And then Canada was losing until like the final, I think it was minute and a half, and then they came back, or 2 minutes or something like that, or 3 minutes, I forget what it was, but then they came back and scored, sent it to overtime. They scored in overtime, and now they're both in the semis. And these matches that they got coming up in the semis on Friday, it's not a cakewalk. These teams are good. The United States has the number 3 seed that they got to go up against, and Canada, I think, plays the 4. I think Canada plays, if I remember this correctly, Canada plays Finland, and I forget who the United States plays. The United States plays a pretty good team too. They're the 3rd seed. Margie said, oh, you guys are just jumping right in. Margie, is this supposed to snow in Haverford? I'm assuming you're talking about, hi from North Palm Beach and Bethany Beach. Eric, what's going on, buddy? I'm assuming you're talking about this weekend. Because your local forecast right now, I don't know what's going on up there, but we're going to talk about what's going on this weekend, Sunday. We're going to do quite a bit. Hi, we miss you in Philly. Kim, thank you. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're in here now, tuning in to watch me. I'm so glad you guys are able to see me. Not only this, remember you can stream you just go to WPTV.com, and you can right on the website you can see where you can stream it. It'll be right on the home page, and I do the 4, the 5, the 6, the 10, and the 11. So if you guys ever want to watch me live, just go ahead and WPTV right there .com, and you'll be able to watch me. Jennifer says hi from Jensen Beach. Jennifer, how are you, my friend? Kathy says hi, Chris from Levittown. Levittown in the house. Lee says no snow in New Jersey, please. All right. Doug Karen says, hi, Chris. We miss you, bud. I miss you guys, too. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Carmel says, hi, Chris. Linda says, hi from Skipback. Oh, I remember that area. How are you? Brenda says, hi from Violin. Violin in the house. Violin's actually not too far from where I used to live. I used to live in Williamstown. Grew up in Glassboro. My brother and I, the whole family, grew up in Glassboro, graduated from Glassboro High School. And then when I got married, Lori and I moved into a house in Williamstown, which is only about 10 minutes down the street from Glassboro. It's Gloucester County. And Violin was only about 15 minutes down the street the other way, maybe 20 tops. It wasn't far. Let's see. Dawn is watching. Hello. Sonny says, hey, buddy, South Philly in the house. What's going on? Linda says, hi, Chris. And Janice says, Delco in the house. What's going on? Going to give it 2 more minutes, okay? Get everybody in here, and then we'll get into it. Keith says, no more snow for Jersey. We're tired of plowing it. Man, how many winters have you been able to say that, right? It's been a long time. Egg Harbor Township checking in. Jim. Laura says, hey, Chris, checking in from Woodbury Heights. How are you? Kim says, King of Prussia. Juanita, I'm in Cumberland. How are you guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Wendy Jones, hi Chris from East Norton. How are you? Nancy, hi Chris from Browns Mills. Pine Barrens in the house. Joey, that goalie plays for the... Okay, so it's not the Minnesota Wild. He plays for New Jersey. He was good. Oh my gosh, you couldn't get anything by him. I mean, the United States was peppering him with shots, and then all of a sudden he just gave up that goal in overtime. But man, that's the thing. I'll never forget. I'm a huge... Sorry, I have these teeth thing, my Invisalign in. So it's, you know, not to gross you out, but the saliva builds behind your teeth as you're talking because of these things. So I have to keep swallowing. I've always been a big fan of playoff hockey, and playoff hockey is that one sport. You know, football, if you've got, you know, teams that are mismatched, like one team's clearly better than the other, 99 out of 100 times that team's going to win. But hockey is that one sport where if you get a hot goalie, it doesn't matter what you're ranked. I've seen some crazy things happen in hockey. Your goalie gets hot and you go all the way to the Stanley Cup. Okay. Gray won't like snow, Lisa says. Miss, is so glad you're helping me with my life insurance, too. Brenda, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right, Millie from Philly says hello. All right, so what do you think? You want to get into it now? We're at 7:34. We got about 600 people on here. So, okay. You saw my post earlier today. What we're going to do here, we're going to talk about the storm, all right? And then I'm going to talk about these wind chills and everything, and it includes all the way down here in Florida, because what's going to happen is, if you remember from my post a few days ago, there was one more cold shot, all right, one more cold shot that I was expecting this month, and it was coming in around the 23rd. Sure enough, it's going to move in here. This potential storm is developing on the leading edge of that cold shot, okay? So whatever this storm does on Sunday, and we're still in that wait and see phase, okay? So until the piece of energy that is really going to get this storm developing, until it comes on shore, and I'm going to show you this on the West Coast, and it's not going to do that until tomorrow afternoon, but until that actually happens, the modeling is going to waffle back and forth, because what's going on is, think about it, the piece of energy is over the open waters of the Pacific. There's no observations over the open waters. So in order to fill the void, the forecast modeling is kind of guessing, you know, what's going on out there. And then it initializes its run off of those estimates. And then it produces a solution. Okay, that's how those models work. So, you know, it's imperfect right now, but what are you going to do? You don't have reporting stations over the open waters of the Pacific. So until this thing actually gets over land, again, does it tomorrow, and then the observations are put into the modeling via balloons and, you know, the ground reporting stations, until all of that gets put into the modeling and it definitely sees where this piece of energy is, then, and only then, will the models have a concrete idea of what this thing's going to do. All right, so that's what's going on with the storm. Regardless of what happens with this storm, once it comes and goes, that cold shot comes in, and it's going to get cold for a couple of days. The good news is, like we talked about, it's brief. It's not sustained cold. It's a cold shot. It lasts 2 or 3 days. But it does get all the way down into South Florida, where we are where I am right now. And we're talking about Tuesday morning, waking up to wind chills down here in 30s again. All right, so it's going to get cold. Okay, let's get into it. I showed this. I'm going to show very similar maps to what I showed yesterday, and we'll see what's going on here today. Okay, East Coast, West Coast, Canada. There's Mexico right there. There's the Gulf. There's Florida. All right, there's the Philadelphia area, the Delaware Valley. Okay, now what I want you to notice here is you're going to see the piece of energy come on shore. You know what? Let me fast forward it. Focus your eyes right here. Okay, I'll set it in motion now. Right there. See it? That's the piece of energy right there. See the little twist here? Let me rewind it. All right, watch this area very closely. I'm going to show you it again. Right there. Right there. See the twist? See it? Now it's over here. Okay? That's the piece of energy we're waiting on. Once that comes on shore, boom. I'm telling you that there still could be a little bit of waffling with the exact track and the strength, but once that thing comes on shore, the guesswork is pretty much done. It's over. Okay? And then you start really fine-tuning. And that's why I said a couple days ago that Thursday was going to be the day where we really start honing in on, what this thing's going to do. So there it is. Now, at this point, this is early Friday morning, okay? That piece of energy is over the four corners. At the same time, you've got some stuff up here on the northern branch, all right? There's the energy off the Pacific. There's the northern branch. This is, by the way, the European model. Now, what you want for a big storm is for all of this mess to come together, all right? There it comes right there. That's off the Pacific. All right, now watch what happens here. All right, see all this stuff to the north? Here comes the Pacific. The Pacific energy is running way out ahead of the northern branch energy. You see the difference? These are not phasing. Pacific energy's right here. Northern branch energies, as this pulls away, this drops in on the backside. See it? And it goes all the way down. See that? So what you have on the European, and we talked about this yesterday, and it showed this yesterday, instead of all the pieces of the puzzle coming together, giving you this one huge walloping storm, you have the pieces coming in separately, one after the next, and kind of mini versions, because they're not, in other words, when everything comes together, boom, you get this huge explosive storm. But when the little pieces come one after the next, they're just that. They're just little pieces of energy, nothing more. All right, and so that's what you get off the European model. All right, so here's a look. So here's a look at what that model's showing. All right. See it? You know what? Let me zoom in. Little pieces of energy. See it develop right here, but the upper level is back here. See? And you get nothing. Now the cold goes all the way down to Florida. You can see the trough dig. But the storm, the surface-based part was here. The upper level was back here. There's no phase. There's no connection between the two. Now the GFS says, hold my beer. Watch the piece of energy come on shore. Right there. See it? See it right there? Let me rewind it. Watch this. Right around San Francisco. Bang, right there. All right, and then it comes out. Here it is. Okay? Here's your northern branch feature. All right, it's out ahead. But watch what happens here. All right, here's the Pacific feature. Here's the upper level. Watch what happens. See how everything's kind of twisting together? See the gap closing? Bang, it catches up. See? Bang, it all comes together. Right there. See that? Almost looks like, look at that. It almost looks like a hurricane off the coast. Look. See this? That's how intense it gets on the GFS. So the result here is this on the GFS. Everything coming together right now. See the difference? That's a major storm. That could potentially be blizzard conditions on this model. That's a major storm. Okay? So, if you tuned in yesterday, we're exactly where we were. Exactly where we were yesterday. European shows a storm developing south of the Delaware Valley, pushing off the coast. The pieces don't come together. They don't phase. One comes in, the other one follows it. Boom, they go off the coast and out to sea. Maybe you get a little bit of light snow, a period of light snow on Sunday. but it's no big deal. GFS wants to bring everything together and produce this massive, massive winter storm that would drop 1 to 2 feet of snow in parts of the Delaware Valley, mainly coastal areas, you know, Jersey Shore in particular, and South Jersey and Delaware. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change things up a little bit. You guys have all heard about the AI models, right? All right, well, I have one of them loaded up here. The way these AI models work, they're a little bit different than the 2 forecast models that I just showed you. All right, the AI models don't have any physics involved. What they do is they were built, and the AI is supposed to learn. It recognizes weather patterns, right? It sees what's going on around the globe, all right? And it learns. As the days and the weeks and the months and the years go by, it learns off of what it is seeing, okay? It'll say, oh, I've seen this before. This is what's going to happen. Oh, I remember this. This is what's going to happen. That's how it works, all right? Now, there's a little bit more involved, but I'm trying to keep it simple. So this is the Euro AI, okay? Here comes New Jersey's right there, Philadelphia area. Now watch, you're going to see this is the storm that's going to bring rain to you, for you guys on Friday. That comes and goes. Now watch this. All right. Oh, man. Hold on, I went too far. All right, here it comes right here. This is Saturday. See it? Right there. There it is, right off the coast. Look at this thing jack up off the coast. Look at it, get all jacked up. That's a massive, massive winter storm, okay? But the problem is, look where it's located. It's located east of the benchmark, all right, which is right here. So this is too far off the coast. I mean, look at this thing. That is a monster, all right? So here's a look at what the European's doing. Remember, the European was the one that went off the coast like this, one piece after the next. It doesn't have any accumulating snow. Here's a look at what the GFS is currently doing. It has 8 to 12 inches for the Jersey Shore, but notice the bulk of it is off the coast. So let's assume for a second the GFS is correct. All right, again, it's a big assumption, but let's just assume that this is correct. You could have a situation here where Philly gets 2 or 3 inches and Atlantic City might get a foot. Allentown might get 2, okay? So it still has the bulk of this offshore, all right? Euro has nothing for everybody. GFS has that, and the Euro AI has this. 2 inches in Philly, 5 in Atlantic City, the bulk is offshore, okay? So that's where we stand right now. So what I would say again is, you know, at this point, it's still a wait and see. And tomorrow afternoon around 17, 18 Z, so midday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock or so, is when this piece of energy comes on shore. Okay, so what's going to happen is it's not going to be until the 0Z runs come in tomorrow night when you really start to see how the models are handling this piece of energy coming on shore. Okay, the 0Z runs unfortunately are late. So, for example, the GFS 0Z is not going to come in until, like, honestly, it might be 11 o'clock at night. Meanwhile, the European is not going to come in, the 0Z, until maybe 1:45 in the morning. All right, 12:30, 1:45. All right, so that they come in late. But those runs, the 0Z runs tomorrow, are going to be the first time that the models are really seeing this storm as it comes on shore. And so those are the runs that are going to be the most important here. And I'll post them, not tomorrow morning, obviously, but the following morning is when. So what are we? That'll be Friday morning. Friday morning is when, you know, you really start to see the modeling handle what's going on. I do want to show you this real quick before I let you go. Is European ensemble. I know you guys remember this, right? If you look at the bulk of these, all right, there is one. See, the bulk of this is offshore, but it does have some. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, all right. Let's include that. 5, 6, 7. You know, there's a couple. Let's give this one 2, 8. There's a couple in here. There's about 8 of them. 8 out of 50 that show accumulating snow for the Philadelphia area, maybe 9. Let's just round it to 10 for simple math purposes. What is that, 20%? It's a long shot. Now, the GFS, on the other hand, remember the GFS was the one that showed this. All right, does it have any support? It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 1. We'll count that one too. 2, 3, 4. I'll count this too, but the bulk of this is offshore. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got 8 out of 30. All right, so I don't know what the percent. Someone do the math on that. What's the percentage? 8 of 30. Is that like 25%? 8, 16, 24, maybe a little bit more. Maybe it's like 28%, 27%. But you get the idea. So the GFS that shows this is only supported by about 25% on its ensembles. Meanwhile, the European, which shows this, actually has a decent amount of support. Now, the AI, which shows this, also has a couple here. Let's count that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do the next round. 6, 7, 8. Boy, that's a big one right there. 9, 10, 11. So basically what's going on here is all the operational models that I just showed you, whatever they're, like the GFS showing that monster snow on the coast, it only has 25% support on its own ensemble. The AI, it only has about 25% support on its own ensemble, and it's showing accumulating snow like that. So, at this point, again, I think we're good where we are. I think this is just a wait and see. Let's see how the models handle it again tomorrow. Remember, it's going to be right around midday, 1 o'clock, when the piece of energy finally comes on shore. So at that point, again, the 0Z runs. So it's going to be Friday morning when I get up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll immediately post what those models are showing, because those are going to be the first runs that actually have that piece of energy over land. And then they're going to handle it much, much better. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you real quick. I want to show you these temperatures before I let you go, because it is going to get burr. Just when we thought we were done with it, right? This will be the last cold shot in February. Now, I don't know. I honestly have not looked at March yet at all. So I couldn't tell you what March is going to be like. But, we are getting to the point here where old man winter is just simply running out of time. Every day that goes by, the sun angle gets higher and higher and higher in the sky. All right. And so old man winter just kind of loses his grip slowly but surely. All right. Let's go to, watch this. All right. So here comes you got a lot of cold air over the top. Here's Philly. Here's South Florida. Look at South Florida on Saturday. We're forecasting a high here in West Palm Beach Saturday of 87 degrees. Can you believe that? Now, it's not really humid, so it's, that 87, maybe it feels like 88, but it's only February. All right, here comes Sunday. These are wind chills, okay? Sunday, everything's off the coast. Here comes, now, bang, there's a storm right there, okay? Pulling away. There's Monday morning. Look at the wind chills. Remember, 87 degrees on Saturday. You're going to wake up to wind chills in the 30s and 40s in South Florida Monday morning. All right, maybe from the Treasure Coast north. Look what's going on up here in the Philly area. You got teens. And then Tuesday morning, right there, you've got teens again in the Philadelphia area. And look at all the 30s there in South Florida. Now, again, the good news is, as we flip it over to this, all right, let me show you real quick, and this is what I'll leave you guys with. You know what? I can stay on the 22. All right, here's Philadelphia. All right, so you got mild temperatures here. Here's your cold shot. All right, 40, 39, 39, and then bang, you go right back up into the 40s and 50s. All right, so it's brief. Now, the morning lows are going to get cold. Don't get me wrong. You're getting below freezing. Wind chills are burr. We saw the teens. But this is short-lived, okay, and you pull out of it. Meanwhile, here in West Palm Beach, 84, 85, 85, 86, bang, front comes in, 68, 67, and then you're back up into the 70s and 80s. Let's do the Treasure Coast. 64, 63, that's Monday, Tuesday. Look at that, 44 for the overnight low. So really, really warm for the next 4 days. And then you will cool down. Okay, guys, I got to get my suit on, and I got to drive on down 95 and head to the station, get ready to do the 10 and the 11. Tune in again tomorrow at 7:30. We'll go over all of this again, and I will actually show you the radar, because you'll be able to see that piece of energy over California tomorrow. Okay, so I'll show you where the energy is and all that fun stuff, and then we'll look at the models again. Okay, so remember, right now, no forecast is out, all right? I don't know if anybody online is putting a forecast out. I know I'm not. We're still in wait and see mode, okay? I would say Friday morning is, tomorrow we have a better idea, but it's going to be Friday morning, guys, because that energy has to come on shore. The models then have to see it, because you'll see all observations and the weather balloons go up and the whole 9 yards. And then once the models see it, they are able to put that into their physical equation, bang, and then it spits out a solution. Okay, so really it's Friday morning. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7:30 in the evening. Okay, bye.